A single anniversary trip to Germany at age 40 flipped my entire view of the world and sparked a late onset wanderlust I never saw coming. For most of my life, I was content staying close to home. I've taken my fair share of domestic flights and made some great road trips within the continental US, from California all the way to Maine, but when it came to overseas travel, my closest connection was watching the amazing race. A trip to Germany changed that. Navigating foreign roads, stumbling through unfamiliar languages, trying strange foods and strange places, that trip planted a wanderlust in me, and it grew into a personal fascination. Fast. One thing I've discovered about myself over the years is that I love to travel. My family and I have traveled some within the United States, as I mentioned before, and I even have this outline map of the United States with all visited states shaded in. My goal is to completely fill in the map with every state visited and something uniquely explored within each state sometime within my life. Travel has always intrigued me, but it wasn't until about 2012 that I began to think seriously about going overseas. I remember that year, my wife, kids, and I had gone to the Texas State Fair in Dallas-Fort Worth, and one evening at our accommodations we turned on the TV and discovered the amazing race, and I fell in love with it. I can't even remember which season it was, but that's when I really started watching it regularly. I even went back and caught up on all the earlier seasons that we had missed, and from then on we made sure to keep up with every new season as it was released. I was fascinated by the places they went, the challenges the contestants were involved in, and how curated and unique everything was. It really sparked something within me. Before that, back when my wife and I were in college, we used to befriend international students. We had some great friends from Taiwan, China, even a couple from Finland. We spent time together, ate meals, played games, built real friendships. So even though I wasn't traveling abroad, I was connecting with people from different cultures. And living in a college town made that really easy. So I had an awareness of the greater world, but I still didn't see myself as someone who would ever go to any of those places. But then seeing the amazing race and even realizing that wasn't travel per se, I began to have a desire to go places and experience new things. Then in 2016, through a series of events, my wife and I had the chance to go to Germany. I remember the excitement of getting my passport. It felt like such a novelty. I mentioned before that my family and I had traveled some within the United States, including my family of origin. But growing up, the topic of overseas travel never really came up that I can remember. I never even thought about a passport. In fact, I didn't think about a passport until I saw the amazing race and watched race teams trying to keep up with theirs. I remember my whole family going together to get our passports, and when mine arrived in the mail, I just sat there flipping through it, imagining what it would be like to have a few stamps inside. Now back to Germany in 2016. My wife and I flew into Tegel, that's Berlin, and I received my first ever passport stamp, an arrival stamp in Berlin, Germany. I was 40 years old at the time. That trip solidified something deep within me. You know, it happened to be our 20th anniversary around the time of that trip. The first part of the trip was spent getting to know a family that lived in Germany that we had previously been acquainted with. The second half we planned just for the two of us for our anniversary. We often say of that trip that we stitched our way across Germany. Rachel, my wife, enjoys quilting, so we made it a point to stop at fabric stores as we traveled from Berlin down to the southern part of the country near the Austrian border. We rented a car, did the driving on our own, we booked our own accommodations, we traveled to Mainz, observed an antique tractor show, and saw the Gutenberg press. We stayed a couple of days in Rothenburg, often depicted as the Christmas town. Our exploration of that city included a citywide garage sale where we had some interesting conversations about East versus West Germany. Lastly, we continued on to the south of Munich to a farm stay on the very serene Valchensee Lake. The farm stay was a working dairy that had been in the same family for over 800 years. Every place we visited was exciting and new, and all combined solidified in our minds an experience that Rachel and I will never forget. That brings me to something I'm really excited about: travel chips. Imagine an elegant bowl sitting on your coffee table full of travel stories waiting to be told. Travel chips are a unique way to commemorate your experiences. Sure, you can scroll through photos on your phone, wear a t-shirt, or collect fridge magnets, but travel chips are something you and people in your circle can touch and feel in a place that invites stories. When friends come over and start picking through the bowl, they'll ask questions. Before you know it, you're sharing the experiences that are meaningful to you. That's what travel chips are all about. Stories about your deeply cherished experiences, renewed and made vivid by your sharing. Travel chips aren't souvenirs, they're conversation starters. They are reminders of where you've been and inspiration for dreams of future travel experiences. Order them now by clicking the link in the description below or heading over to thesojournexperience.com. Start building your collection today, because your stories deserve more than a magnet. They deserve to be remembered, shared, and experienced. Back to Germany in 2016. That trip truly ignited something inside of me. I like to say that's when my late onset wanderlust began, in my 40s no less. That sojourn, if you will, became the foundation for so many trips that followed. Each one has been its own adventure. I've learned something new about myself every trip. I would not trade those experiences for anything in the world, and I love telling others about the life-changing experiences I've had. Traveling abroad, especially that first time, was eye-opening. The culture, the language, the food, it was all so different, and yet it felt empowering. I had done something risky. I stepped outside of my comfort zone. I planned it all with Rachel and took full responsibility for the two of us. And it didn't go perfectly. We got lost a couple of times. We were tired. There were moments of uncertainty, but we did it, and that gave me confidence. Since then, every trip has pushed me a little more, stretched my thinking, and revealed parts of myself I hadn't known. You know, it's funny. Growing up, I always thought of Colorado as the ultimate destination. My family, we took ski trips there during spring breaks for many years in a row, and I loved the mountains, the peace, the adrenaline of skiing, and I still love that. But there was a time that was the dream trip. Now, my dream trips are abroad. After 2016, suddenly Germany became the new Colorado for me, the new pinnacle. I knew I had to go back, and we did in 2017. That time we took our kids, and again, we planned a portion of that trip just for ourselves. But that's a story for another time. Looking back on that first trip, I remember thinking as we flew home, if God allows, I'm gonna do this again. I didn't have a name for it then, this diagnosis of wanderlust, but that was the moment it took root. That's when everything changed. I went from someone content with road trips in the US, happy to stay close to home, to someone who wanted to explore different cultures, different landscapes, and different ways of living. My condition of late onset wanderlust still allows me to thoroughly enjoy trips within the United States, while compelling me to endure long flights, strange foods, and brief culture shock, taking on new adventures as often as I can. The many journeys I've been on have been exciting and life-changing. I've enjoyed every trip I've taken. Not everything goes according to plan, but overall the experiences have been amazing, leaving me asking the question, where to next? What about you? Where will you go next? Go plan your next trip and experience the world.